Donald Trump continues to fan the flames between protesters and governors who have issued stay-at-home orders in their state in response to COVID-19. So recently, during one of his coronavirus press briefings, which we should really call election rallies because that's what they are, he actually accused governors of going too far in trying to keep their constituents safe.
Some things are too tough. And if you look at some of the states you just mentioned, it's too tough, not only relative to this, but what they've done in Virginia with respect to the Second Amendment is just a horrible thing. They did a horrible thing, the governor. People feel that way. You're allowed to protest. I mean, they feel that way. I watched the protest, and they were all 6 feet apart. I mean, it was a very orderly group of people. But, you know, some have gone too far. Some governors have gone too far. Some of the things that happened are maybe not so appropriate. And I think in the end, it's not going to matter because we're starting to open up our states. You know, you could get the same result out of doing a little bit less. What they've done to some people is very unfair. As far as protesters, you know, I see protesters for all sorts of things. And I'm with everybody. I'm with everybody. These are people expressing their views. I see where they are, and I see the way they're working. They seem to be very responsible people to me. But it's, you know, they've been treated a little bit rough.
Yeah, look, I mean, just quick fact checks. The governors who have actually gone too far are governors like Ron DeSantis from Florida, Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia, who says that restaurants and movie theaters can open beginning on April 27th. He doesn't even want to wait until May 1st, and May 1st is too early. In Jacksonville, Florida, the beaches are now open, and there is no social distancing being practiced whatsoever. You see video after video of people in you know, close proximity to one another. And so for him to say, you know, I saw those protests, people were being responsible about it. No, they weren't. And in one of the earlier stories that we shared on this, in Minnesota, there were Proud Boys blocking the entrance to a hospital. Ambulances couldn't get through. A healthcare worker had to come out and beg them to clear the intersection. So no, it's not all of them are responsible. I don't want to make a blanket statement and say all of them are doing terrible things, but they are taking a huge risk for their own health, their family members' health, and they are moving us backwards when it comes to the progress that we have made in slowing down the spread of this virus.
Yeah, so that's the same Ron DeSantis who can't even put on a mask. We'll show that in the post game, tyt.com/join to get the extra half hour of the Young Turks every day. And then that's the same Brian Kemp who just a little while ago said nobody knew that you could get the coronavirus from people who are asymptomatic, don't have symptoms. No, we all knew that for months. For months and months, we knew that. The only person ignorant enough not to know that was the Georgia governor. And he's so ignorant, he bragged about not knowing. Nobody knew that. Nobody knew that. It's like a Donald Trump wannabe. They're having a competition about who's more ignorant. Speaking of which, then you go to Donald Trump, that clip that we played for you guys. Was there a single moment of substance there? The governors are a little too tough. They're just doing some things I don't like, but I like everybody. I like the protesters. They're a little too rough on the protests. Any specifics? What are the governors doing wrong? Can you name one thing they're doing wrong? Can you name one thing that the protesters are correct about? Nope. It's a little rough, a little tough, and a little too much, and I liked it a little this way. I like everybody. He goes out there. I said this from day one, all the way back in 2015 when he started running. He crowd surfs. He A/B tests his audience. He just goes out there and just says both things at the same time. And now, everybody, I've got a very responsible stay-at-home order and a 3-phase reopening of the country. And at the same time, go do whatever you want. I love protests. Mm-hmm. Go outside, liberate Michigan, liberate Minnesota. Just ignore my 3 orders, 3-part reopening. Just do it yourself. But remember, I did the 3-part thing, so I'll brag about that later. He's going to brag about it no matter what. He's going to say, I gave you this and I gave you that. And the sad thing is for people who can't catch on to this very obvious parlor trick.
Because I think when you're in a desperate financial situation, it's easier, you're vulnerable, right? And it's easier to be manipulated. And make no mistake about it, a lot of these people are being manipulated by the likes of, right-wing organizations, right-wing politicians who don't care about their lives, don't care about their safety. What they do care about is ensuring that the economy is booming, not for the average worker, but for them. right? So let's get everyone back to work. I mean, so many of them have acknowledged in cable news interviews that, yeah, lots of people are dying. People are going to die. But I mean, come on. That's the lesser of two evils, right? It's just so incredibly sad. And I think that this virus has like shown us what the priorities are. I mean, everything that we suspected about people in positions of power has really come true, that they don't care about anything other than their own political careers and how much money they make through their stock portfolios. So let's just quickly hear. Go ahead, Cenk.
Yeah, just real quick. Senator Kennedy of Louisiana is a good example of that. Look, you're a senator from a state that's been hit pretty hard, and he comes out and says, look, I know more people are going to die, but we got to reopen the economy, but never mentions the 17 million people who are unemployed. So if you say, hey, look, man, I don't know how they're going to survive with 2 months of unemployment if we don't get them government help, that's one thing, right? But the Republicans are generally the ones trying to get government help to the biggest companies in the world, but not to the people who are unemployed. So basically what you're then saying is, I know a lot of people are going to die, but my stock portfolio is down 25%. So, the lesser of two evils is more people in Louisiana dying and my stock portfolio going back up.
For Kennedy, the vast majority of his assets are in stocks and in real estate. So yeah, he's worried about himself. There's no question. Well, luckily, we still have that adult in the room, and that's Dr. Anthony Fauci. And it's statements like this that we need. But unfortunately, these are the types of statements that make me worry about the stability of his role within the Trump administration. Take a look.
To those protesters? Yeah. I mean, I think, the message is that clearly this is something that is hurting from the standpoint of economics, from the standpoint of things that have nothing to do with the virus. But unless we get the virus under control, the real recovery economically is not going to happen. So what you do if you jump the gun and go into a situation where you have a big spike, you're going to set yourself back. So as painful as it is to go by the careful guidelines of gradually phasing into a reopening, it's going to backfire.
So again, I mean, it's information that we've repeated so many times, but we need it. We need people to understand that, even if you're struggling right now, we get you. But if you go back out there and we open things up too early, it's just going to make this terrible process drag on longer than it needs to.
So, of course, the protesters in Texas chanted, "Fire Fauci, fire Fauci." Him smart, me not smart. Me no like him. Me no like scientists. Me no like the facts. Fire Fauci, hire dummy.
Look, the press briefings are a giant waste of time. The only time it's worth listening to something that happens that's actually substantive is when Fauci's answering questions. That's where we get the information we need to keep ourselves and our families safe. If Fauci's gone, I mean, you know what he'd be replaced with. He'd be replaced with Dr. Abloh from Fox News. It's just the lowest of the low, someone who's not an expert at all, and the misinformation will continue to spread. So I worry about Dr. Anthony Fauci, but I really worry about, violence breaking out because of people like Donald Trump encouraging people and egging people on, telling them to go out there and protest when they should be at home, they should be staying safe, and they certainly shouldn't be showing up to public spaces with weapons at a time like now.
At least 70% of the Republicans, according to polling, believe in the stay-at-home orders, which is more than I would have suspected. So that's good to hear. Obviously, 30% don't. It's 95% of Democrats believe it, 5% don't. So, of course, a much larger chunk of Republicans say, I don't really believe scientists or doctors. But it's good to see 70% of them still do. I'm weird way of getting encouraged by Republican Party, but I am. For the folks that are not listening and want to fire the Faucis of the world and just go do their own thing, you're going to have freedom momentarily, but if the disease spikes again, we all have to go back in for a longer period of time. And as usual, all you've done is just punch yourself in the face.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.